everybody, it's Hugh Kellenberger here, next to Dustin Dopirak, coming to you from the Welsh Rhine Arena in beautiful Evanston, Illinois, where Northwestern has scored the most points in a Big Ten game they have since 1994, Dustin.
Wow, I hadn't seen that note.
Hey, Northwestern didn't how did he know? One of the Northwestern beat writers told me.
Oh, I should have looked that up.
We'll get that in there somewhere. Dustin, really terrible first half. I don't know really what else to say. That was as terrible a first half as Indiana has played
it's
all
probably
season.
The worst half of basketball they played all season. I mean, they got backdoored to death. They got outworked. I mean, just in every way, they just didn't show up for the first half, more or less. I mean, they couldn't shoot it all, couldn't move the basketball, dribbled around in circles on offense without any particular direction whatsoever. And on defense, just got killed by everything the Northwestern kills you on. They gave up wide open threes, just embarrassingly open threes to John Cherna.
Yeah, you got to cover that guy.
Yeah, I heard he's good. Some people said something about that.
I think he played against the pros, played against Team USA.
Yeah, there's that and all that.
And he's leading the Big Ten in scoring.
He's second.
Or he's second. He was. He
might be first today. Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
he might be first again.
Yeah, he could get back up there.
Him and Battle scored a lot against Michigan State, so maybe.
Yeah.
This was interesting on the backdoor cuts. This was another thing we missed because Indiana made Tom Crean available outside of their locker room, which was, of course, not in the press room. So we missed Northwestern, Bill Carmody coming to the podium. He actually said that the reason why they got so many backdoor cuts in the first half especially was that Jeremiah Rivers was guarding too closely to Juice Thompson.
Okay, so that kind of brings up... I could see that because, I mean, Jeremiah definitely seemed like he was trying to make a point.
Jeremiah, right, which is great if you think about it, because if there was any guy that knows the Princeton offense,
it's Jeremiah Rivers.
It's the guy who spent 2 years running it.
Yeah, I mean, he was clearly up really... And part of it is, I mean, Jeremiah Rivers really is trying to prove something this year in general. I mean, he's trying to make sure everybody knows that he's still a value to this team, and he has been. I mean, there have been a few people on this team, a few players on this team, who have done what they were asked to do at a higher level than Rivers has. You know? I mean, he has made sure not to do the things that he's not asked to do this year, like taking shots, mostly.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of talk about effort tonight in the chat. I think that's fair. It's easy to question a lot of effort after tonight. Jeremiah was one of the guys that you can say his effort was there.
He got after it. But yeah, I mean, that probably wasn't. Now that you look back at it, you saw him committing a few fouls and being out of place because it just like he was trying so hard to prove a point. It was like he took so much on himself to be like, all right, I know this offense. I'm going to go lock somebody down. And he got backdoored several times.
Yeah, he did.
So, and some other guys did, I mean, more or less in the first half, Northwestern mostly did what it wanted to do on offense.
Yeah, I mean, and let's be fair. Northwestern is a decent team. They may make the NCAA tournament, but they were 0-3 in the Big Ten coming in. They had just gotten steamrolled by Illinois.
Just absolutely slaughtered. I don't know if that might have been the worst Big Ten loss by any team this year is what they had against Illinois. And they came in and just
they looked really good.
Yeah,
they looked. I mean, you watch that game,
and you think they could win the league,
right? And Indiana has done that a lot this season.
Yeah, no, they made a lot of teams look good. They made Penn State look great.
Yeah.
They made Penn State look... I mean, they did beat Michigan State later, but they made Penn State look awesome.
Yeah.
They made it look like Ohio State, like they should win 4 national championships in a row.
Right.
It's been to that degree defensively.
It made Minnesota look really good, and,
At times.
I mean, when Minnesota wanted to look good.
True, yeah.
I mean, that is Indiana's biggest problem right now, is that they just... I don't think they're playing with a lot of effort. They're not playing with a lot of whatever that makes it so that gives them a chance to win the game.
Yeah, no, I mean a lot of them sleepwalked through the first half. I mean there was a lot of that today. It was just a lot of guys that just did not seem to have a whole bunch of energy, and I don't know. I mean they just look like they don't have a direction. Like they're not exactly sure what place where they're supposed to go, what they're supposed to do. They don't seem driven to anything really. A bunch of them. Christian Watford, especially in the first half, was invisible. I mean. I don't even know what he did. I don't know what was wrong with him. Cream, flat out said he just didn't play hard enough, and he didn't. You just didn't see a lot of spark out of him at all whatsoever. He didn't seem to be doing anything. I mean, the guards in general seemed there was a lot of that dribble weave stuff, and literally, I remember thinking whole possessions where maybe 3 guys just kind of dribbled, kind of across the foul line and then handed it off to somebody, and nobody was really taking it anywhere. I mean, there just wasn't a lot. There wasn't a lot of direction. Nobody seemed to have a purpose.
Yeah, I mean that's, and how do you? It's hard to coach that
on. Yeah,
How do you coach? I mean, you're not supposed to have to coach purpose.
Yeah.
It's college basketball.
Right.
Like,
well, the alternative. I mean, I'm not trying to excuse. I'm not trying to not excuse. I'm not trying to put it on somebody or not put it on somebody.
There's not a simple answer. So,
but part of it is, they should know what their direction is. It's a coach's job to make sure you know where you're supposed to go and what you're supposed to do. And I don't know. I mean, we've talked about it, and there's, we don't want to get delved too deep into this at this point, but there might be, this team might be asked to do too much creatively. There might be too much on it. Now, I don't know if there is or isn't, but some of that when there's not a lot of direction, it's just a guy trying to figure out how to beat it. Beat his man, and the other man is defending him better than he can get past him. Something else has to work. Something else has to happen. So I don't know, but yeah, there's a lot of staring off in the distance right now and trying to figure out answers. But one way or another, this team just doesn't seem to have a place where it's going.
And have you ever seen a team like this before?
I don't know. I mean, it's been different to cover. I mean, I've seen worse teams. I've seen worse collections of talent.
Right.
And obviously this is a better collection of talent than was here in 08, 09. I didn't see that team. But even I didn't think last year's team had a much better, was much better if it was better. But
yeah.
I guess last year's team, you kept looking at it and saying, okay, well, those are a bunch of freshmen, those are a bunch of skinny guys that just don't have the power right now, aren't physically developed, aren't physically capable right now. And now those guys are built up, and there's still not much more.
Yeah, the only situation I've ever seen, and it's not a perfect analogy, is I covered NC State the last year of Herb Sendek and the first 2 years of the Sidney Lowe era, and there were a lot of defections after Herb left. Guys went pro. Guys started to focus on baseball. It ended up where NC State only had 7 scholarship players on that team, on Sidney Lowe's first team, and those kids ran through walls. Yeah. Like, they got the most out of their ability. They went to an ACC title game purely on guts and determination. In a lot of ways, very similar to that 08-09 team that made up for his lack of talent by just sheer will. And even though that team did not win a lot of games, NC State won more games because they're more individual talent still. But it was a similar situation where they maximized their ability. Yeah. And so they got these freshmen in, and it was going to be like, well, now we got the freshmen, so it's just going to be great. And a disconnect happened, and somehow the team just wasn't any better. And NC State's still going through that. They had another great freshman class come in this year. It's still the same thing. So there's not an easy solution. I don't have this is what happened, and this could happen in Indiana. But, I mean, I've seen this before, and it's hard to diagnose what's wrong. Yeah. Because it's such a you just want to put all 13 of them, on a couch for an hour and a half.
Just find out what's going on.
Right.
Where is your head right now?
Right. Who is Derek Elston?
Who is Christian Watford?
If I ask your teammates, what would they say Jordan Hulse does well?
Although Hulse is one of the few guys that you could say he's figured out what he's supposed to do.
Jordan knows what he's supposed to do. They got
Depot and Sheehy.
Right. They got to get ready for Michigan. Really, they play really hard. They don't understand the offense. They make a lot of mistakes, but they play really hard. Right now, that's enough. Yeah. Early on in the year, I
think you're going to see a lot more playing time for those two guys. I mean,
I think it's come to the point where you need to just say who are the 6-7 guys that are going to play the hardest, and I'm going to play those guys. Yeah. And let's see what happens, because I think Tom Crean at this point, he's very frustrated. I think Tom Crean at this point would like to see effort more than execution. Yeah. And I think the fans right now would like to see effort more than execution. I think they will take 35 minutes of Daniel Moore playing his ass off. Yeah. And deal with his limitations over watching guys kind of struggle through.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think people would take that at this point. I mean, there just seems to be so much floating around, really. I mean, even there's not really... last year, there was a few games where it just kind of went in the tank. I mean, this year it hasn't been kind of the same... You haven't seen the same complete eggs, but you've still seen these games where there just seems to be so much drifting, and all of a sudden there's 5 minutes of frenzy, and you're like, well, where was that for the past 36 minutes? Where and it's effective. They get back into it to at least make it respectable. So you're like, it's there, but it doesn't show up for 35 minutes.
No, it doesn't.
So,
That's
it. It
it.
is what it is.
It is what it is. We got Michigan coming to Bloomington next weekend.
Saturday.
Next Saturday.
That's all we know for sure.
That's all we know for sure. We'll see what happens in between now and then. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.